Hey everyone, this is Sharon from Self Care for Black Men, and now I'm going to have Williams from Talks Taylor to join us, and we're going to talk about meditation. I have a meditation series for Black men, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in details. Hey there!
Hey,
All right, so in one sense, we're back to a certain
bet.
extent, but now we're on Self Care for Black Men. So thank you for joining me. One of the things, like I said, that I do, I have meditation series for Black men, and what that is that it talks it's threefold, pretty much. I interview Black men who are meditation teachers, talk about meditation, what it is, and the benefits for it. And then also for people like you who practice meditation, because I think it's important for people and for men to hear what that is like. Because the other thing is, too, when it comes to meditation, even though we talk about the benefits of it, but I think sometimes that may get left behind is that process, is what people go through as they are, I guess you said, just on the journey. Because again, when it comes to meditation, it is a practice. And I truly believe it should be like a self-care practice that people do, if not daily, at least as often as possible. But anyway, let me let you introduce yourself.
So, again, hello everyone. My name is William Coombs. I am a therapist over at Talk Taylor. My platform is taking mental health and making it very personal, making it very relatable, breaking the mold of what is normally expected, and just talking to people like people want to be talked to. My experience is mostly in crisis intervention. And I've learned in that process is that you really don't have a whole lot of time to go through the steps of getting to meet people. You just got to get straight to the point. You got to get to the point where they connect with you. And I think that that should be an experience that is shared throughout the profession. So that's kind of what I'm trying to build over here. And I came across conscious sharing and self-care for Black men as I'm kind of in the process of rediscovering myself and my values and what I think is important. And meditation for me is something that is a big part of that. You know, I'm a very young in the game. I'm just starting to learn what it feels like to do it, but I'm hooked. So the more that I can kind of pick up along the way, the more that I want to know.
Okay. And so, what led you or motivated you to even try meditation, or how did you learn about meditation in the first place?
I guess just wanting to. It kind of happened in twofold. One, understanding my relationship with religion and spirituality. Um, and like a lot of us, I was kind of born into a religion. I was actually originally a Catholic growing up, and then kind of pushed away from that as I grew up and realized, okay, well, I'm just going to go with Christianity. And then now, even kind of just understanding, I became very interested in my roots, the stuff that I really spent a lot of my time not really paying attention to. Did the ancestry thing and kind of got an idea of where people came from, and realizing that I kind of want to be more connected to that, to my original self. So that kind of led me away from traditional Christianity and trying to figure out, okay, what if I could take pieces from every religion or practice or philosophy and put that into myself?
Yeah.
So that kind of led me to kind of look into things like Buddhism and Taoism and Hinduism and everything, and they all kind of led back to these, there's these constant themes like balance and chakras and meditation and um, learning how to vibrate on a higher plane. So that hooked me. Um, so in the kind of pushing away from traditional things that were told to me that I had to believe and kind of understand things on my own, and then also wanting to kind of be real connected to the self that I've neglected for so long. All roads kind of led to learn how to meditate. Even before that, I read the book, both of them. Russell Simmons
Okay.
is an advocate of meditation. He says he will not start his day without meditating for at least 10, 15 minutes. And, I'm like, okay, that dude's an inspiration. He's that's a very successful man in the rest of his day. So there's got to be something to it. So I wanted to get on board, and here I am.
Okay. Now, what was your first meditation experience like? Because sometimes for some people, sometimes they may not even want to try it because they hear certain things about meditation. But just what was that like for you?
The first time I tried it,
Yes.
it was frustrating. It was frustrating because I would allow myself to get distracted very easily. So, here I am, I'm quiet. And oddly enough, even before that, I guess the first time I did it accidentally. I had a day off and I was laying on my bed, and I have a pond in my backyard with the waterfall, and I could hear it, and I was listening to it, and I just found myself just kind of drifting away. And then, I came to, and I was like, wow, I think that was it. I wasn't trying to, but I was just relaxed and listening to that sound. So then I
Okay.
tried to do it intentionally, but I couldn't. I had there's my ceiling fan in my room was going, so I was listening to that. My breathing, I'd breathe and I didn't have a good, I guess, rhythm going, and I'd be like holding my breath for too long, and things just weren't syncing up, and I'd stop and look at my phone, and it was frustrating because I thought that it was supposed to, if you just go, okay, I'm going to meditate and go. And then it was supposed to just happen like that. And it
Yeah.
really didn't. So very frustrating at first.
Yeah, and it can be, and again, that's one of those, like you just say, myths that's out there because people think that meditation is supposed to like stop your mind from racing and stop you from thinking, and actually, it doesn't do that. The
Mm.
longer you meditate, you may get to a point, or we all may get to a point where we have what we call like more space, where there's less of that chatter, but it's really to kind of almost it's almost how to describe it, almost like to enter the quietness of it. And it's like
Mm.
we can observe, our thoughts, but have no judgment and say, oh, okay, that's what that is, but not, get into it. And you can hear the fan or you can hear the waterfall, but then not being bothered by it and to go back to the breath. And so, yeah, and that is, it's just one of those things is that the more you practice, and then those things will not become as bothersome. Now, what made you want to continue to meditate even after that experience?
I read a book, and
Okay.
I listened to one. I'm trying to remember which one it exactly was. I know the Russell Simmons book referenced it, but I listened to a book that was specifically about yoga and meditation, and it taught me to forgive myself for getting distracted. That was the big switch, right? Instead of me thinking that I was doing it wrong, it's a process of constant recorrection. Like, your mind will drift and you say, oh, I'm doing it. My mind drifted. Let's get back to focus. And then becoming comfortable with continuing to play that game until, it becomes like exactly like you said is on point. Like the ceiling fan, I still hear it, but now it's almost when everything syncs up, it's almost like a song, and the sound, the rhythm of the fan, and my breaths are almost like in sync now, and everything sounds like it's like playing on the same tempo. And it took for me to learn how to do that though, because I was following the myth too, where I thought there's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it, and I must be doing it the wrong way. And learning to let go of that inhibition and just work on being present is what really brought it home for me.
Exactly. And that's what it does, is to allow us to be in the present moment of where we are. And again, it's kind of like the benefits of it is that awareness of ourselves, so we can be more connected with ourselves. And then wherever we are with a higher power, then we can be connected closer to the higher power, if that's God, the universe, the divine, whatever that is for each person. Yeah, and that is so, so true. And so with you kind of continually to do that, like what did you notice about yourself along the way as you continue to meditate?
I noticed that the feelings that I have post meditation are not really there pre meditation. I've learned to kind of, if I get myself worked up about something, finances or whatever, schedule or whatever's going on, if I can successfully go into that meditative state, when I come back, it's almost like it's like hitting the reset button. It's like everything that I was thinking about prior to really doesn't matter as much. It kind of is put into perspective.
Yeah.
And but it's almost like it is. I guess it's like the healthiest drug that you can ever want. It's you.
Yeah.
I crave it almost. Almost, I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble sometimes. For my wife, because I'd rather spend time by myself to do this instead of doing things that I'm probably supposed to be doing. But it feels good. And it's almost. It's the euphoric feeling that I'm trying to make sense of is something that I crave. Like, it's something that I want to do. Even when I'm tired, like, I want to make sure that before I go to sleep, I go into this, I give myself some time to meditate. So what I've learned is that I like it. It feels good to me. And
Yeah.
it doesn't cost me anything but time.
Yeah, good, good, good. Yeah, because there are a lot of benefits from it. Not just, I guess you could say there's, mentally, physically, and spiritual benefits from it. And so the more someone does it, then the more benefit that they can have. And it's almost one of those things, I always say, it's just so hard to describe. It's almost like, I just kind of say, if we have unresolved issues or any wounds, that, because a lot of times we don't even know that we have, because I have discovered that I have wounds and unresolved issues I had no idea existed, and it would bring those things up. And but once we're able to bring them up and and gently look at them, then we can kind of move on, because in looking at them, I can definitely see, oh, this has been impacted my life. And I had no idea, that
Mhm.
stuff had been running in the background regarding behaviors or decisions. I always like to say mine come out more so in behaviors. And when I say that, just meaning, maybe doing too much or not doing enough and things like that. Because I've never been
Yeah.
one to like come out and be angry or anything like that. I've never been that type of person. But then at the same time, maybe being too quiet, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not good
Right.
either, you know?
Hmm.
But yeah, it really does. And then also too, sometimes some people like who may have some medical or some physical ailments, sometimes some people say that those things improve with meditation too, when it comes along with that. And so I just kind of just wanted to put that out there. And so like you're pretty much like a good example at least for me, and advocating for sitting in silence and meditation, because someone can get a lot out of it, and then it can make someone inquisitive. And like you said, when you like before you sit down, you can, be in a certain type of mood, but when you come out of it, you can have at least be in a different mood and also have different perspective. And say that's the piece. I guess you could say that's probably the magic piece to it, because it gives us that space, like when we're making decisions, where we won't just go out and make decisions per se. And even if we're making decisions in the heat of the moment, when it comes to certain things, even just having just a little bit of space where we can at least think, it's like, okay, what is this? What am I dealing with before I make this decision? Where we can be, as they say, more responsive and not reactive. Because at least what I discovered within myself, I've always said I've never really been reactive per se, but I've discovered I have been reactive
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent, where I may be
Right.
offended. So that makes me emotional. So I'm responding in that particular way. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, so am I really listening to people? And when I say that, I'm talking about like outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
In work, I think I'm a good listener. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean, that's a handicap too, though. Not to interrupt you, but sometimes when you are paid to listen and your
mhm.
profession is listening, you assume that you're always listening.
Yeah.
And so in those other situations, you're right. It's easy to miss because now you're like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I'm a therapist and I do this, so I know I'm listening to you.
Mhm.
But no, you're off the clock, and maybe you're not. And
Yeah.
we don't even we get so good at listening to everybody else and never listening to ourselves.
This is true. This is
You know.
true. This is true. So what would be, I guess you say, the greatest benefit of meditation for you?
For me, it is. I mean, just it's calming. I mean that I can't express enough that reset sensation. It's like if I'm tired, I can meditate for 5 minutes and I'm done, and then I feel rejuvenated. Now I don't know where that came from or how that
Mhm.
happened, but it
Yeah.
works. It's like it's a moment to kind of cleanse whatever negativity is going on, and that goes away, and then you can start with a clear mind. And what blows my mind is it's so easy and it's so simple. It's literally sitting there in silence in your own thoughts,
Mhm.
and allowing yourself to go wherever it is that you go. You know, I don't know where that is, and that's the part that I guess the next level is trying to figure out wherever my mind goes, because it seems like a cool place. Because whenever it comes back, I feel better. So like I'd like to. It's like an out of body experience, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah, some people
Because the
describe
next thing
that.
that I remember, like
Mhm.
after me going through that process, okay, stay focused, stay focused, stay focused, and then time passes,
Mhm.
and then I just have this moment like, whoa, like
Wow.
where'd I go? Where'd I just
Yeah.
come from? But I feel
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's the benefit for me. Like right now, I just like the feeling. Like I just like the feel of coming out of a meditation and going on to the next thing, almost feeling rejuvenated.
Yeah. And the thing is, when we are rejuvenated or feel refreshed, then we're able to pretty much, I guess you say, put ourselves back into the game of life, back to making decisions, because we probably don't even realize that when we're tired or fatigued and whatsoever, that we're running down on fuel, and how are we really making decisions? And our society has pretty much had taught us, we need to be logical in a lot of things, but there's so much we do not understand about the mind and the body. I would say it's a mystery. And so it's like the more we meditate, the more we learn about ourselves. And then when it comes to that, we know about the gut, follow your gut, but we learn even more so about that intuition, and even, more so about the gut as well. And all of that plays into who we are when we're making decisions. And then, like I was saying one time before about all of this hustling and grinding, it's almost like that can kind of disappear to a certain extent, because you can find, it's almost like things will come to you of how you know how that saying goes, work smarter and not harder, where you can, I'm not going to even say figure out ways, but things will come to you of
Hmm.
how you can make a living. It may be the same thing that a person is doing, but it may be something different. And so, because if we do not take care of ourselves on a physical, mental, and even on a spiritual level, that as time goes on, we're just going to exhaust, and we end up having, like so many medical problems later on in life.
Yeah, I guess what I'm on is I want to find out if that's life and this is the dream. You know what I mean? Like what's going on with that? Like whatever, like I said, wherever my mind goes, that's where I want to be. Like I want to hang out in that mindset, you know. But I think you make a really good point. Like things do, they come more natural, and this is without effort too. You know, things that were really bothering me or really heavily on my mind are really less important, and not in a dismissive way, not in a way of putting it off, but like reevaluating why I'm really allowing myself to be bothered by this thing, understanding that you know, it's a process. You have to go through the process just like anything else, but doing it with a clear mind and being able to focus on what's really important instead of maybe something that's less important that's kind of bothering me and that I'm stuck on in the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I feel like they should replace algebra and all that stuff that we learn in school with this. Learn how to think, learn how to, be present. All the rest of that stuff will make sense of itself. But, it's like we spend a lot of time learning how to navigate around ourselves in a sense, when what we
Wow.
all needed was there the whole time.
This is true. And pretty much what you just said, that's the conclusion that what most people say, because, we hear that saying that everything within us, I mean, everything that we need to know is within us. And so we have the answer. And it's kind of a lot of those sages. We have a better understanding of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right when it comes to that. And so when you meditate, because I heard you said, I think I heard you said that sometimes you listen to music, because I know everybody meditate differently. Like for some people, because they either because they are new to it, or because their mind are racing too much. Sometimes they want or and like the guided meditation, and then other people sit completely in silence, either with music or without music. So, how do you meditate?
I definitely do the music. I do the typical spa meditation music. I've always been kind of into that anyway, secretly, just ambient sound. That works for me. It helps because it's not too much to focus on. Like there's not a rhythm or a drum pattern or anything that catches your attention. It's just ambient noise. And I've always been able to kind of get lost in that. I've tried the guided meditation one time, and I don't recommend doing it the way that I did. I thought that I was listening to an audiobook that would talk about meditation, but it was teaching meditation.
Okay, got you.
And, so I'm driving along and I'm like getting relaxed and looking off at the trees and stuff. And so don't recommend doing that. That was a mistake because I got sleepy. But
Yeah.
yeah, no,
And
I'll usually I'll put in the headphones, and I'm not even to the point where I can, I don't sit in a traditional pose or anything. I'll just lay on my bed and put my earbuds in and just have music playing, and that's good enough for me.
yeah, and for each person it's different. And I guess you could say there's, even though, when you see it visually out in the world, they have, a certain way. doing it. But the main thing is really is for the person to be comfortable. And I know sometimes there have been some discussions, can you do it lying down or can you do it sitting up? And I just say it really just depends on the individual. Because there are some arguments as, there's some, benefits in sitting up, and then I've seen other things that say people can lay down. And I just leave that to the individual, because sometimes some people may have, some type of physical condition, where they may not be able to sit up. So what do you say about those individuals? So I do think it's, on an individual basis. But yeah, and there's so many different types of meditation and ways of doing it. And what I tell people, you really just have to try some of them out to see which one is going to resonate with you. Because I know, like with myself, in the mornings I like guided meditation, but in the evening I like, either with music or without music. When I do it in the evening. So it's almost like I need something in the morning to really help, how you should say, wake me up. And even though some people, they may not have, any music or with music in the morning too, but that's just my own personal preference. And each person kind of chooses how they want to do it. So is there anything else that you like to share regarding your meditation journey?
Just that it is ongoing. I'm hooked. I guess the debate was getting to feel what meditation feels like, and now I'm on a whole different journey with things now. That's now that's part of it. I want to get into yoga. I've changed up my workouts. I'm looking at changing my diet. I'm thinking about making the jump to vegan. It's kind of when you can experience how easy it is for you to naturally feel good. It kind of makes you curious about all the other things that you could be doing and the things you can change about yourself that could make you feel that much better. So changing habits, getting away from alcohol, getting away from all the things that I thought that I wanted to have. Because ultimately what I want is to be healthy and to feel good. So the more and more I go, the further I want to go. Maybe I'll find my way to wherever the other side is and just stay there. But until then, that feeling, chasing that feeling of coming out of meditation, feeling better is really all that I needed to hook me. And, I'll be doing it every day now.
Yeah. And you have a family too, because you have a wife, and I know you have a daughter as well. And so how do you integrate that? Because one thing a lot of people say is that they do not have enough time. But I also heard you say sometimes if it's just 5 minutes, but I just want you to talk a little bit about that. Because how do you integrate that with your family?
Yeah, well, when it's just me, mostly, we get up early. My wife goes to work early, and I usually head to the gym, but I'll squeeze in time then before, my kids are up. And then at night before I go to bed. So those moments, whenever I do it now, is just literally moments in my day where it's just me. Everything else is already taken care of. But oddly enough, though, they all are ahead of the day. My daughters, they will get up and do yoga. They'll get up and meditate. Even if they don't know what they're doing, they'll do it. So they're into it. My wife asked me too, when I told her that I figured this out, she was like, show me. So, so I gotta, my team is down to participate. And what I need to understand, what I need to refocus, as the leader is to make a time for it. Okay, let's do this. Let's put this into our day. And everybody, gets something out of it. So it's just a matter of invite them, it's not something I should be, experiencing by myself.
Yeah. And that's the ultimate goal is pretty much, when one person does it in the family, then other people they always kind of say is even if you don't notice changes within yourself, a lot of times, those who are surrounded by you will notice changes within you. And then two, especially with children, if they see you doing something, they're like, oh, what they're doing. Sometimes it may start off just by imitating, because they
Yeah.
want to do what daddy do, and hey, this looks cool. But then as time goes on, it's going to benefit them too. I mean, even if they stray away from it, what I have seen in conversations and like interviews that I've watched as well, that even if someone has started, yoga and meditation at a younger age, and they may stray away from it, they find their way back to it later in life.
Yeah, I'm not giving it up, and I think that those are the things that I've made the comment about schools teaching us to navigate around ourselves, but I think that's something, a responsibility for me to make sure that my kids have to, is teach them how to do that, and it's never like all you need is time and yourself, and it's it's not a lot that you have to put into it, but there's a whole lot that you can get out of it. So, I think you're right. And you're right. So once they have it, they know how to do it. They'll always have it. So they can always come back to it, when they see fit.
Exactly. Well, again, I really do appreciate this. And in listening to you, I'm like, you are like the poster child for meditation. It's like anybody wants to advertise why somebody should meditate, we need to put your picture up and whatsoever, because everything that you're saying is like what we like to hear, what someone is going through. And I know sometimes some people may experience, especially when you're unearthing some wounds or unresolved issues, that people may not even realize that they had. Sometimes that can be, difficult for some people. Some people may need, to go to therapy to help them process that. And sometimes for people, they can process it, on their own by asking themselves questions and, doing some little techniques and things like that, and get a life coach and just really processing, because my thing is, even with therapy, we still got to learn how to be with ourselves. So I really do feel like meditation helps us with that. It helps us process things and ask questions of ourselves, and things like that. So
got to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what, we got to do the work, and kind of feel like society has led us away from ourselves of not doing the work. It's almost like when it comes to emotions, oh, don't feel this way, and don't hurt nobody else's feelings, and and we've never been taught how to deal with our own feelings. So how can we really sit with somebody else's? You know what I mean?
Or see a therapist and let them figure out. That's kind of. Everybody wants to just, hey, I can't figure this out. Let me pass to my therapist. You know what's going on, but I can only tell you so much. I can only lead you so far.
Exactly.
You gotta do the work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, I really do appreciate you joining me. And do you have any last words for anybody?
No, that's it. I appreciate you for having me. Like I said, I've said this a couple times already. I think I found you at a very important part of my life, because as I've learned to figure this thing out, I need people like yourself who understand, who can show me the way. So I definitely appreciate it. If any of your people see this, come check me out at Talk Taylor on Instagram, all one word, TalkTailor. Check out what we're doing on my side. But as always, thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me.
All right, and thank you for joining as well. You have a good evening.
All right. You too.
All right.